Do you think every kid should be required to study computer science in school?
So I'm not a big fan of requirements. So let me say I think every child should be inspired to study computer science because it's fun. That's the first thing to say. It's really designed. Many people think that what it means to study computer science or be a computer scientist is that you're in an office by yourself programming. But that's not really what it's about. I mean, it's part of what it's about. Designing a program is like designing a building, figuring out what the parts are, how those parts should interact, where the possible conflicts can happen, how you can do a design that works better or not so well. It's also much like writing a book or writing a paper when you figure out what the different parts are. It's not just typing. I mean, by the time you get to typing the words, you've figured out a lot.
But
It also teaches you how to think, I would say logically, but I don't mean it quite in the sense that Roger was talking about logic. It really teaches problem solving, and in a way, and this is what's amazing about computer systems, you think you have a solution to the problem, and you try it out, and it doesn't work. And then you figure out where your thinking wasn't right. So, in fact, I always say to my advisees, my undergraduate advisees, that they might be able to write the essay for their freshman English class between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., which, believe me, they try to do, but they aren't going to be able to write the program for their first computer science course then and have it work, because you can't fool a computer like you can fool a faculty member.
But isn't the pedagogical question, should you require computer coding, let's say in either grade school or high school? I mean, should that be a required thing to learn?
Well, in the end, if you want to get a computer to do something, you have to code. So the answer is yes, but if you have just like you can't write a book if you don't, or a paper if you don't know how to either write by hand or type. So it's also learning how to program is learning how to speak a foreign language. And it's an interesting foreign language because, as I said, the interpreter of it isn't quite as smart as we are. So you have to be very careful about what you say. But I don't think that the coding comes first. I think the design comes first in understanding the problem. And also I think what's very important about it, and I think this will get back to something Roger cares a lot about, is that you have to experiment. You have to, you write it and you see if it works, and if not, you adjust it and you try again. And unlike chemistry, where you can lose a thumb or blow up your house, if the program goes wrong, it's just in the computer.
So, Roger, computer coding for everyone in school?
Absolutely. I think if done right, algorithmic thinking and computational thinking should be a part of the curriculum from kindergarten up. Because it can be done, if it's done well, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And for some of the reasons you mentioned that I absolutely agree with, you interact with a computer program like you are not interacting with a book or some other things. I've been thinking about art and how we make art and how we can use a computer to make art instead of just a brush or a pencil or a typewriter. And there's something pretty interesting happening when you've made your own algorithm and it does something, and maybe it does something unexpected, and by doing that you learn something about what you shouldn't have done, and then it teaches you almost automatically that there are other paths that you could have taken, and that journey for me, and I think for many other people, has been very magical, where you're interacting and becoming a part of a program, sort of. And it's, I said, if done right, it is very, very good for learning. And I think you learn a lot about abstraction in a very good way. You learn about patterns in a very good way. And I think it can be done in any field. It could be done for languages. It could be done for physical exercise. It could be done for mathematics and natural sciences, of course. But you can take anything and you can program it. And I think you learn a lot from that.
Yeah, one of the things I think is an exciting development of the last few years is the proliferation of ways to teach programming that even 4- and 5-year-olds can use. Because the language in which you instruct the computer has been made very simple. Sometimes it's a language when you're actually doing something as opposed to typing words. And it's exactly what Roger says. You're immediately seeing the effects of what you're doing.
So I